everyone, welcome back. So we have the Urban Decay Naked Reloaded palette. Now, Urban Decay recently discontinued, I would say, I guess in the fall, discontinued their Naked palette. And everyone was kind of shocked, but then also I think everyone had a suspicion that they were going to have some type of new edition that was coming. So that is the Reloaded palette. They did send this to me, so I want to just read what they said about it. Your go-to neutrals just got a major glow up. The Naked Reloaded eyeshadow palette is here, and the beauty is designed with every age, gender, skin tone, and makeup bag in mind. I think one of the things about the original Naked palette is that it was one of my first eyeshadow palettes that I ever purchased or got, and so I think that that is what they wanted. I mean, it was such a rage. It was one of the first like eyeshadow palettes that I ever remember seeing, and so they kind of want to sort of do a jump start and bring that back and have this be the palette that you recommend. Because I know for a long time when people were just getting into eyeshadow or asking me questions about like which palette should I get, I would say the Urban Decay Naked palette. Now they've come out with so many different palettes, the 1, the 2, or the original, the 2, the 3, is there a 4? No, there's a smoky, the neutral, I don't know. No, the heat, the Reloaded now. So I think that when I'm telling someone what to choose, I'm like, go for the original if you want more warm tones. Go for the 2 if you want more cool tones. Go for the 3 if you want more rosy tones. Go for the heat if you want more orange tones. Go for the smoky if you want more like cool smoky going out date eyes. So I think that the intentions of this palette were to sort of incorporate all, because it looks like there's some warm, there's some neutral, there's a silvery. This is my first time actually looking at this because I haven't even watched, I think I watched my friend Stephanie from Babs Beauty is the only video I watched on this palette. So I'm not even familiar with what it looked like, but looks like a good array of colors, a nice sort of replacement, and like they said, something to be included. Now it does have a big mirror here which has like a thing over it, so I'm going to not peel that until I use it. What I want to talk about is the packaging. It's almost like this fabric plush packaging. Kind of feels like a kitchen seat, or like a stool in your kitchen. Like it's kind of squishy fabric. And it looks like it has like a flower or something in the background, flower petals. It looks like there are 12 shades, and this shade on this end is bigger, and then this shade on this end is also bigger. This shade is called Blur, so I'm assuming that's to like kind of blur and define the edges, like after your transition color, to kind of like blur it out. This shade in Bribe looks like it's more of like a highlight shade. So we'll go ahead and swatch, but I am going to just do a quick look with this. I haven't planned anything out or thought anything. I haven't tried this, obviously. Peel that off for that nice mirror. So I don't know how this look is going to turn out. Honestly, it looks like you can really only go a few ways, and that's kind of like if you're a neutral girl and you sort of like to stick in the neutrals and your look doesn't have much variation throughout the week. This is like an Old Faithful, like something like they said that everyone keeps in their makeup bag, and it kind of would be good for everyone. Okay, I went ahead and primed my eyes with a little bit of concealer, and I'm just going to kind of set that with that Blur shade really quickly. It's like a nice all over lid shade. Then I'm going to go into the shade Bucked and Boundaries. Bucked looks like the original Buck, more of like a cool tone. Boundaries looks more like it has a little bit more warmth in it and a little bit lighter. So I kind of just mixed those two together. Oh yeah, that kind of reminds me of the original with the Buck shade, which was one of my favorite shades in that palette. Just like the ultimate transition shade. Alright, there's this shade in here called Distilled. I just don't know what I want to do for like lid shade. This is a really nice brown. Then there's the shade Burn, which has like a little bit of some coppery to it. And then we have Reputation, which is a little bit lighter. So I kind of want to go in one of those 3 shades. So these 3 shades do look sort of similar. I think I might go for the middle shade. And I'm just going to use my finger. This is Distilled. And I want to pat that all over the lid. And then I am going to go in the center of the lid with like a lighter shade. One of my favorite shades was Smog from the original palette, and this is very similar. It just has a little bit less bronzy to it. It's more cool tone, more of a cool tone shade than Smog is, but very similar. And since that's like one of my favorites, I'm just going to use that. And then we have the shade Barely Baked, which is kind of like Half Baked. The very nice shimmery shade. This is a little bit less yellow, I think, but still a really pretty shimmery shade right there. So I'm going to pop that in the center of the lid. Okay, now I'm going to take the shade Endgame, which is a really dark matte brown, and I'm just going to put that right on this outer corner. I am getting a little bit of fallout from that, but that's why I do my foundation last. Alright, then for the brow bone, I'm going to take the shade Bribe, which is this bigger shade all the way over here, and it has like a little nice sheen to it. I'm just going to pop that under the brow bone. And I'm going to just do a small line. Looking at this palette, honestly, it feels like it's the best of both worlds. Like when we get to the swatching part, I will tell you how I feel like this palette is taking like a variation of all of the favorites in all of the Naked palettes and kind of combining them all into one palette. I think it's going to be a good, if you missed out on the original Naked palette, I think this is going to be a good one just to pick up, especially like they say, if you're looking for neutrals. I think this would be an easy everyday palette that would work for a lot of people. Okay, I'm going to finish up with mascara. I'm going to do the rest of my face and then we'll come back and finish the lower lash line. Okay, if you're interested in what's on the rest of my face, I will leave that linked down below. We are going to get back to the palette. I think I'm going to go in with the Bucked shade under my lash line. Actually, first I'm going to put this Double Life 24/7 Urban Decay liner in my waterline. Just a really nice warm bronzy shade. And then I'm going to go in with the shade Bucked and sort of just smudge that out. Alright, now I'm going to take the shade Distilled, which is what we put all over the lid, and smudge that on the outer corner. Then I'm going to take a little bit of that Barely Baked shade, the gold that we put on our inner corner, and I'm just going to tap that kind of like right in the center. Alright, for inner corners, I want to try this shade Angel Fire. It looks really, really pretty and nice and shimmery. Like a good inner corner shade. Oh yeah, that's really pretty. Has like a lot of sparkle in it. It almost has like a little bit of a pink hue to it. And then I'm just going to put on some bottom lash mascara and then we're going to talk about the palette. I do want to try and put a little bit of that Angel Fire shimmery shade like just right here. So this is the finished look and I really like it when I'm looking at it. I can see that for someone who is looking for a palette to be like an everyday palette, something that they grab and go, they know they're going to get a good secure look out of, or a nice like neutral look, this is great. Now if you already own the Naked One palette or any of the Naked palettes that have a little bit of some warmer shades or more, this is, what I will say is if I already had the Naked Original, I don't know if I would get this. However, I do feel like it pulls some, like this color right here in Retro. I feel like this color is very pulled from the Naked Heat. I feel like this one right here in Dreamweaver, this looks like it is pulled from the Smoky palette. These look like it's pulled from the original Naked palette, Endgame maybe from the Smoky palette. It looks like it's just a compilation kind of all the palettes, but all the best neutral shades. So I guess if you are looking for one all-in-one neutral palette, maybe I would get this. However, I personally feel like for my collection, if I were to just be looking at this and wondering, should I purchase that, should I not? I probably wouldn't, just because I have all the other shades throughout all the other Naked palettes. I don't think there's anything in here that's unique to the palette. It's just really like the best of, sort of, when it comes to neutrals. Again, something that I would recommend someone who is going to be purchasing a palette for the first time maybe, or someone who's just like an everyday neutral wearer who's going to get a lot of use out of one palette, I would recommend this one, which is where I used to recommend the Naked Original. However, I do actually feel like this is more catered to what would be less intimidating almost, because it doesn't have the only like cool tone shade really that this has is this one right here. The Naked Original had like those more like bluer shades with like Creep and I forget the name of the other one, but it was like Gunmetal and Creep or something on the end, and those were like two shades a lot of people just didn't use. They more stuck to like this part of the palette because it was like the more neutral end of the palette. So I think that when they did the reloaded of this, they sort of just stuck a bunch of colors that would be used on a daily basis, and I believe that that's what this is. So I really do like the look that it created. It's just like a nice neutral look, and honestly, you know, this would be like an everyday sort of look for me. I didn't go ahead and put lashes on, but you could if you wanted to elevate it. But I am just into sort of wearing lash free recently, just because that's how I am on my daily wear, and I find that a lot of you guys are like that too. Now, a lot of you guys want to see what it looks like without lashes. So that's kind of why I've done a few looks recently without lashes. That's not to say I'm not going to do looks with lashes, but for those of you who love lashes and you wear them on a daily basis, you can just always go ahead and pop on lashes. Obviously, I feel like lashes kind of elevate any look. But anyways, so I'm just going to go ahead and swatch these, but as far as blendability and everything, it's on point with how I feel most Urban Decay palettes are. Swatching these eyeshadows, this shade in Dreamweaver was really difficult to work with. The first swatch, like, I had to pile it on. I wonder if this is a shade that you really have to sort of pat on and use maybe like some type of like Fix Plus or something, but I didn't have good luck with that. That was the only shade that I didn't have luck with, just as a finger swatch, but that's not necessarily an indicator of how it would apply on the eyes. So that would be a shade that right off the bat, like just in a finger swatch, again, not an accurate indicator of how it applies on the eyes, I didn't have as much luck with when it comes to swatching. So that is going to be a shade that I'm going to try out on the eyes just to see how it applies. But everything else that I used, I really liked, and I think this is going to be a nice addition to the Naked line. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next video. Mwah.